Great. This is really loud. Okay, welcome remote people. So if you guys get cut off of this, let me make sure can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys get cut off on this, all this stuff is on the Google Drive that I'm going to present today. So all of my other workshops I pre-recorded, but this one I did not. God, I'm going to be admitting people all day, so I'm just going to go. All right, so AWS Sense, what is it? So it's an entry-level certification. I talked a little bit about this the other day, and this does not make a kid a certified welder. And I can't remember what Sense stands for, but it's something about entry-level, all right? They do complete the same types of assessments if they were going to eventually be certified. So some Whatcom County teachers in December are going to get AWS or WABO certified in one area. I'm requesting to do the Sense one. And so what this involves is a bend test. Okay, so this is like the one physical thing or destructive test that they're going to do. There is a series of knowledge tests. So if you look at this complicated flow chart, I do not do the full certification. All right, I do the left-hand side where it says, excuse me. Yeah, the partial. So the first module on the left-hand side is safety and health of welders. And they score a minimum of 100% on the knowledge test. So that's the one that they have to get perfect. And then they have one in each of the areas, and the next one should be module 3, and then module 8, and then module 9, and then you got all those optional modules. Yeah.
I'm assuming the testing they take on the computer.
Yeah, it's all online. And when you start one of my slides is going to talk a little bit about that, but no, maybe it doesn't. So you have to sign up. So I sign up as the administrator and instructor because I'm CTE director and the teacher. And then I have a proctor. It can be a para-ed. It just should not be me in the room. Okay. Now, when I signed up for that, that's what they said. Now, when COVID hit, I called them and asked them, because you're signing a lot of things. It's like to protect integrity of AWS and the test, and that you're not going to like give stuff away to people. And that's why the other day it's like, no, you're not going to have that. Okay. You develop your own, like your instructional stuff, because they sell their thing is like $2,000 to $3,000, their instructional thing to walk you through this. But I've made my own. I just don't share it. Okay. So they do all of those online. So during COVID, I called them, and I actually, I get tired of emailing back and forth. So I just called them and talked to them and said, hey, we're in COVID. I started all my kids by luck a week before COVID hit on AWS, and they did the safety thing, and they almost all passed. How is this going to work proctoring? And they got back to me about a week later, and it says, do the best you can. So I was like, wow, thank you. All right. Does that mean I can do this, this, this? Yes. So I opened it up for a week at a time. Okay. Started on a Monday, went over the PowerPoint, last spring, a kid or two would show up to my Zoom room and I'd walk through it, or I'd just post a PowerPoint. And I would hope that they would take the test. I mean, most of my kids I can trust pretty well. I say to do something, I think they're going to do it, because they're kind of like, the ones that were doing this were kind of like the Boy Scouts in the group. Okay. And they did it. And I could tell that they didn't pass it the first time, even my straight A students. So I knew that they were taking it seriously. And so they had to score 75% on these other assessments. And then the hard part of AWS is that the kid can't see what they missed. And that sucks. So I have to go over it with them individually.
You can see what they missed?
I can.
Okay.
And I was going to show you AWS website, which I really don't like that much, kind of confusing to use, but it's what they got. And I know that they're going through a revision. I just don't know what it's going to look like. The destructive tests are their performance task for the shielded metal arc welding, which is module 4, I believe. So they pass a visual examination and destructive test. So that is a 7018 2G multiple pass on 3/8 inch plate, okay, with a backing strip. And they give you all the spec, and I have the spec on the PowerPoint that I can't show you. And it's about I think it's a 7-inch minimum length of the weld. So they're gonna change rods. Okay. The first pass is 3/32, 7018. The rest is 1/8, and the last pass I think is 5/32. To do kind of when you're not doing a cover weave, it's the final pass. So I think there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You should not have more than 9 welds on it. I think you can get through it with 6, but it's been a year since I did it. Okay. All right. So on the PowerPoint, it was why. So the why is Perkins and the comprehensive local needs assessment and graduation pathways include industry recognized credential. AWS is listed, but it's not listed under ag. It's listed under tech, but it still works for ag. I got confirmation. Well, I'll say this. I got confirmation from one OSPI pathway supervisor that's okay, but they're all on a different planet when it comes to everything. So it's apparent that they don't talk a whole lot, like in the current state, because you talk to one and you get a different answer from another one. And it's kind of been nerve-wracking in the framework or the frameworks world of getting them reapproved. What's good in ag is not good in tech. What's good in family consumer science is not good in business. So it's been frustrating. But this industry recognized credential is still in its draft form, from what I understand, and it's a working document, living document that can change as they approve more industry recognized credentials. Once this has kind of been rolled out to everybody, and we've had kind of a year or two to be to be with it. And from what I've heard is that you can add things to it, but they have to approve it. CTE dual credit. So we had a meeting with the Bellingham Tech College, and I said, well, I guess every couple of years I get kids, I can see kids doing this. They take my class 6 semesters or whatever, or 6, even more maybe with the trimester. But, they're very good TIG welders, and they discover it their junior or senior year that hey, this TIG, you can't get them off the machine. And I just said, if a kid passes the AWS Sense certification, the visual, so they do the visual inspection of a layout, okay, of it's a 6x6 plate, with a gusset on it and different weld positions and a hole in the right spot, exactly in the right spot. So that if they can take that to them and show them, but you would have to make sure that that's the key. Like I stamp things, that anything I've sent to BTC, I stamp it with their name on it. Okay. And they pass the knowledge test, they will give them credit. And same thing for FlexScore. I don't do a whole lot of FlexScore. I just don't. But it is a certification that they can get. But in industry, they do an awful lot of it in certain industries, especially in like pipe and Canyon Hydro, et cetera. All right, this is not, you don't have a copy of this, but it goes through all the modules. You know, the safety and health, what is it that they need to do? And if you were in I've passed out I think all my tables, but does anyone need one of these that has, I just kind of list what they need to do on the back. It was my green sheet.
I haven't got one of it.
I have another dumb question. What is a visual examination?
So it's good question. So again, you can't see it, but it's you look at it and there, you know, AWS has some standards for visual inspection and what's allowed and what's not allowed. Okay. And it's up to you to determine if it passes. And that means that the thing is not, you know, once you add heat to it, it doesn't bend in or bend out or warped. It's lined up. The measurements are correct or is almost as important as the weld itself.
Okay, so they're doing a performance assessment,
Yeah.
and then you basically kind of have a rubric that
Yep.
you checklist.
And they have a rubric too. And I go over what I last year I did an example one for MIG welding, but then COVID hit and no one got to it. And still no one's got to it. And then, so how does it work? Again, I don't have the PowerPoint, but I did share so each of the modules, so in the drawing and blueprint reading is the hardest one to pass. Everything else is honestly not too difficult. All right. They usually would pass it at least, well, if not the first time, they'd pass it the second time if they've watched the PowerPoint. But you know, and there's Miller Open Book has a lot of great things on it, videos that you can assign in Google Classroom as part of an assignment as a resource to prepare them for the test, like the knowledge test, and it's free. Okay, but my PowerPoint, I went through, you have the questions and you have the key. And part of what you signing your life away is that you're not going to give them the test and the key before the test. But they can retake it 3 times. You can actually set it up to retake it 5 times. Okay, so it's yeah, it's that part of it I like. Do you have a question?
Yeah, what's so hard about the drawing and welding interpretation?
So all the parts of the welding symbol, like what does 3-2 mean? Okay, what does, you know, all the, you know, a bunch of different, a stitch weld or a seam weld versus a plug weld, field weld symbol. I mean, most of those are easy, but there's about 5 or 6 questions that kids always have to come back to. And there's just a lot of things to cover. And you know, it's challenging. If I took it the first time without looking at the chart, even looking at the chart, I wouldn't pass it because I don't use those every day at all. Yeah. Yep.
So reading, you have kids that, in my school, managing kind of puts a lot of pressure on letting kids keep retaking things and keeping things up. But you know, just a window you're opening up this test. They take it 3 times, the kids spelled it. Are you have any feedback for like finding something alternative what the kids do to make it that credit, or are you just putting 0 in the grade book and the school just deals with it? Or?
First semester I had a lot of advanced students that had me for a while, and they didn't. In that class, I didn't have anybody that was a rookie, so I made them all do three of these assessments. Some of them finished them already, you know, last spring that they were on task, you know, like in the remote world. They retook them, all but one passed it, and all but one passed all 3. And, you know, the one that didn't got a D. But he welded. I mean, he was working, but he got 2 of the 3 done. And I mean, the pushback is from my CT director, and he's kind of a dick. Me. So, you know, I don't get any pushback from principal or anybody. Yep.
Okay, so I realize that you've probably only done this over COVID years, so.
Right before COVID, we
Okay.
started it, that fall.
Okay, but in an ideal world, would you take this maybe with like your advanced class
Yeah.
and do this over a course of a year? Like the
Course
entire
of-
partial portion?
Course of 3 years.
Oh, 3 years. Okay,
That no kid is going to pass all those in the semester.
okay.
They pick and choose what they want to do. I mean, they do those knowledge tests. I mean, I kind of follow the flow chart. 2, 3, and 8. They need to do those before they go to 9. All right. Or well, they do 1. They could do the, you know, there's 3 parts to the thermal cutting, or actually 4 parts. And then they go, once they're done with that, they go to 9. So they know what I am looking for and what AWS expects. That's the visual, that's the weld inspection and testing. So they understand the testing process. And then after that, they complete optional modules 4 through 7. So they can pick, you know, module 4 is what I would probably start them on, because they have to actually pass that one. It's a destructive test that knows that they know, you know, kind of how a bead works and how a puddle is and a position and all that stuff. And it just goes down. Now, I have not had a kid complete anything outside of the knowledge test yet. I've had kids start it, but it's hard. And so the way I did it, and then the kid had to end up taking an art class to get art credit to graduate after he started, you know, 3/8 play is not cheap. So it was like he started it, had 2 passes done, and he goes, well, I gotta go take art to graduate. So he left 3 weeks into the semester.
Do you have 100% kids enrolled in this, or just kids that choose? To
Kids that choose. So when they could complete 6 skills on my skill sheet in advanced, all right, some of it, they do it in a couple weeks. Some of it could take them years or a year, you know. And there's a lot of distractions in advanced metals. You got kids working on projects, and hey, that's a hell of a lot cooler than being in a booth. And hey, I'm gonna go watch this guy TIG weld, but I can't even strike an arc and, you know, in the booth yet. And that kind of crap just drives me nuts. And then you got kids on the plasma table, and then you got 4 kids still taking safety first in the classroom, and it's just like a shit show. I mean, we've all been there.
Right.
And so I usually ask it the first day of the advanced class. So I call them rookies and veterans. This is your first time with me in advanced metals. Last year, you couldn't even strike an arc because you really didn't get to it last year. Okay. So I just have them do the veterans do a survey. I don't even give a survey to the rookies because they know what they got to do. What are you going to do? And then I talk about AWS and why wouldn't you do this? Kids say, I have TAs, my shop TAs, or I don't call them a TA, they're a special project. I had 2 this year that started it. Senioritis, you know, hit. All they did was clean the shop because it was a lot easier than this weld. And when I did the performance task right before COVID hit, or actually November before COVID hit, of 7018 groove weld. And I failed the first one. I think I failed the second one. And then my jack broke. Okay. Got a bigger bottle jack. And I passed the third one after I watched welding tips and tricks, because, you know, I'm there getting pissed off. It's like, Jesus, what the heck? You know, they're just a little bit bigger than an 1/8 or a 16th inch in the section that you cut out. And I'm like, damn it, you know. And it teaches you got to grind your metal before. If you do it on mill scale, or I have some marine steel that was donated 3/8 because I wasn't going to go buy it to practice on. But you have to get all that stuff off the top and the back, because if you don't, you're screwed. And taking that extra 5 minutes is going to save you hours in the end. So if you're online, you can see this. That's one of the visual inspections for TIG aluminum. And then I have the plate is, plate is 7 inches long by 3-inch coupons. And then I bought a track burner with a grant, and you can buy it with Perkins money because this goes towards certification. So it's about a 6-foot track burner, and you can move the torch at an angle and press go, and it cuts the bevel for you perfectly without issue. I mean, it doesn't even stop. You just have to slow it down occasionally, but it does not. It would save probably hours of grinding. So, and I honestly, I can't remember how much it cost, but I think it was around $2,500 to $3,000. It was a nice one. And I have an oxy tank, and I have a cutting table, but I throw this damn thing on it, you know, and I have quick disconnects on my, I use the white Star Flame and then oxygen. I wouldn't cut with acetylene ever again. It's just too costly, too dangerous. When kids are turning the pressure up to 15 because they can't remember that green is oxygen and red is acetylene, or you know, that kind of stuff that scares the living hell out of you. It's like, hey, we're getting rid of acetylene. What's that?
What gas do you use?
Star Flame. It's a propane type.
Propane on steroids.
Yeah.
I use Chemtane. And it
It's very similar to that.
burns hotter and it lasts way longer.
Yep, and it's far cleaner. Like there's no dross in the bottom of it at all. Or well, if you have the settings right, there's no. Okay.
Do you have special tips, or can you use the tips from acetylene?
No, it has to be special tips, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've had an acetylene tip. It's like I don't even know what it looked like. So there's online up a registration form. So what does this cost? There's a one-time $500 fee. It includes, they email you or they give you access to their online platform that includes the guides, standards, exams, and keys. You also get 8 AWS Welding, American Welding Society reference books, okay, that they mail to you. You also get a big plaque that says you're a member, but we put that somewhere. Actually, I got 2 of them for some reason. I think I double paid maybe. And then there's a $20 student one-time fee. So if I have 24 kids, you know, $480, I usually budget about $600 in Perkins for this. Actually, a little bit more than that because I pay. And then there's an annual membership fee of $264. Okay.
$5. No.
Okay.
What was the annual fee, Todd?
What's that?
What was the annual fee?
Collector's here.
Annual fee is $264.
Is that all on your website or the PowerPoint, the share
Yeah.
PowerPoint? We'll get to that.
Okay, so is there a advantage to kids to being able to complete, so you're saying your kids basically get through these first 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So is there an advantage to kids to being able to get through those first 3? Can they go somewhere then and then
So that,
have a head start, or?
yeah. I mean, if I tell a kid, you put that you got a partial AWS certification for completing safety and health of welders, drawing and blueprint reading, and thermal cutting. You're not considered partially certified yet until you complete one of those 4 modules on the right-hand side,
Okay.
but you're on your way.
And a lot of places, BTC and SCAD, you probably skip almost a year or 2.
Yeah.
A lot of community colleges would like, okay, we're gonna bounce you up, save you half of your tuition.
Yeah.
So that's important too.
Okay.
And it's a big deal with your vote directors to be able to check the box for the certification.
And you know, the big thing is not getting certified, but leading to certification.
You could do it. You don't have to do it. You have the option for the kids. There is a way.
And that class offers a certification.
Yeah.
And they don't check you on the grad path, and I don't really like that. They don't really check you on the grad pathway that you completed it. It's that you passed it. You passed the
But
class.
they have the option.
They have the option. They have the option and the ability to do it.
So it does check a box for your directors. And he is, he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming a huge deal.
What kind of numbers of your students complete to the full?
I said none. There's no one that's completed the actual weld. I've had kids pass all of the tests except flux score. Like the knowledge test, probably 4, maybe 5. But they have not passed that. They were happy to be back with their buddies. And, the first week or 2 is social hour, tried to get them out of that. But you're also trying to be accommodating. It's like, hey, these guys haven't seen each other in over a year.
Yeah, not a real good indication of what you can do.
And I had a kid start it, and he went like I did and just started doing it as well as looked like crap. Says, if I were you, I would stop and watch the video from Welding Tips and Tricks and just practice on a 1/4 inch plate. Like fill the damn plate up, because 70-18, your angle means a lot. Your amperage, they give you what your amperage should be. My welders, some run hot, some run cold. You got to know the machine and just stay on that machine. And why are you using a machine built in 1985 when you got one built in 2016 that is a lot more dialed in? So.
And if they did get to the weld part, would you protect that?
They break it. They have to cut it on a bandsaw at a certain spot, and you're doing the cutting. You don't send the kid to cut. I mean, that kid can be there watching you, and you got to weld. You got to grind the surface flat, grind the back, cut the back off, the backing plate off, grind that. If you don't grind it, it's not going to work. And then you do a face bend, and then you do a root bend. And I bought the Reality Works bend tester, and I called Reality Works. I said, the 3rd time I did it, it could not do the face bend. The jack could not do it. You said it would. And so they said, try it again, and I want you to take a video of it. Well, problem is I didn't have any kid complete it. So I'm actually, we're at State Ag Mech. I think next year's Perkins might buy, or with our, it's a lot of money, but it's something I've always really wanted. Is you can buy you can make your own bend testers. But I think I'm buying the hydraulic one that Chad Utter had. It's about $9,000. Okay. But I mean, I could break fillet welds. Kid that says, what does this look like? And instead of me jacking the thing and wasting a bunch of time, and I think I get a lot of use out of this hydraulic bender. And there's cheaper ones out there, but the one I saw is like, okay, that's pretty cool.
And did you have to pass anything in order for you to?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, but AWS last March said that they were working on doing a certification for teachers, because a lot of schools were going this way, and they just didn't want any teacher to do it. So I'm probably going to have to pass the 70-18 thing at BTC. All right. Which is, I mean, it's fine, but could be an ad hoop, but the test is only $50, right?
50 for the AWS, I think 50.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why we would do the WABO, because the AWS is a higher standard than the WABO.
Yeah, and WABO's got different criteria, I think.
Yeah, and every certified welder that I know that is an instructor, they don't really, outside of BTC, they really don't touch WABO. I remember the Tri-County, or the Tri-County Tech Center, or whatever they call it, when we were in Pasco, he started swearing when I mentioned WABO. I remember, I was like, whoa, Gail, I'm sorry for asking the question. Okay, any other questions? I think my time's up. I don't know. Sorry, the chat. I didn't. Do you guys have anything? Oh, there's 2 chats. Sorry.
Thank you, Todd.
Yep.
Thank you. Are you catching?
Where's lunch at 11:30?
Bushes all the way home, 2 hours south.
Yeah, that's kind
Where's
of, and
lunch?
of course, driving south.
Final session. Yeah, exactly.
Where is that?
You just have to fill out that form.
I guess so, online form and.
So, and go down and go.
Weird.
So like, you don't have to know, it's like, well, it's just for their,
Sean McDaniel was the welding instructor there for 100 years.
he is.
Oh, yeah. Trip. What?
I think he must be new,
Oh.
but they have basically just like a measurement class there. And that's the one that they're offering to high school. Or blue credit or whatever.
Is this, Mike, is this the thing you were asking me for the other day?
Yep.
It was the green sheet I had and
Yeah, that's what I was at. Okay.
yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hey, how you doing?
Projector didn't work.
Oh,
I just had a red light.
oh my gosh.
Don't worry about it. It was fine.
Oh, man. What do you do, right?
It's exactly. It's like,
And is
Jesus,
this, I think this is Gary's, right? Is that yours?
that's not mine.
Okay, because I went and got. So Gary gave me this little guy. I couldn't get the light to come on.